topic. Uh, Very quickly for those who have not participated in a table topic before, I do have some questions to uh, to the team members, and every person will have 2 minutes to answer a question. Uh, what will happen is you will select a question from a list of 15 questions, and I will read the question to you. And if you want me to repeat, I will repeat the question again, and then give you 2 minutes to answer. You do not have to answer exactly what I gave you. You can talk about whatever you want to talk about. It is impromptu speech. So you just need to find a way to talk for 2 minutes, hopefully on the subject that you are given, but you really don't have to. Okay. All right. With that, the subject is about spring. As you know, we have had a very long winter, so spring is coming. So I have questions for spring. Okay. And looking for the first volunteer.
I'll go, Abe.
Okay. So from question 1 to 15,
I'll take number 7.
number 7. What role do seasons play in your life and planning? What role do seasons play in your life and planning?
Mr. Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome guest. What role do seasons play in my life and planning? If I go back to before I retired, then summer is a big time because then I could take vacation and we could travel somewhere. And my wife, being a teacher, she would get off on summer. So summer is something I would always look forward to. Winter is something I would have to plan for because winter is our winters are hard and you got to get some stuff done. If there's some stuff you got to get done outside or with your car, you better do it before winter because you don't want to be working on your car out in the cold. As with spring, I'm just so glad when spring comes and like it's just come now. I'm so glad when I see the flowers. So actually, I've already seen flowers come up, which I don't recall them coming up so early before, which I think is wonderful. I see we have a pair of they're called killdeer. They're a kind of bird that they're married. They stay together for life, and they come to our park every year, or at least I've noticed them the last few years. And they're there again, and they make this very ungainly noise that is quite shrill. And but it's wonderful to hear that noise because then I know they're there, and spring is here. Seasons also affect what I like to eat. In the winter, I like to eat more calories to stay warm, especially like to eat warm things. One of the things I really like in the sun in the winter is sweet potatoes, baked sweet potatoes. Very delicious. In the summer, like to have watermelon to keep cool. So seasons are a big part, and I would rather live in a place with 4 seasons than with just one, year-round summer or year-round spring. Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you. Okay, the next person, any volunteer?
I'll go
I'm
eight.
going. Go ahead. Go ahead, Sharon.
Okay, Sharon,
Okay.
from question 1 to 15, except 7.
Number 3, please.
Number 3. All right. We moved the clock forward yesterday and lost an hour of sleep. How does that affect you? We moved the clocks forward yesterday and lost an hour of sleep. How does that affect you?
Mr. Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, and guests, I've been asked the question about how does losing an hours of sleep with our switch to daylight savings time, how does it affect me? It makes me feel ungainly. I feel clumsy because I've lost some sleep and I want to sleep in, and the clock says it's later and it's time for me to get up and I don't want to because I'm still sleepy. But luckily, it happens on a Saturday into a Sunday morning. So I don't really have anything depending on me getting there on time. So some of the ungainliness can go away because I don't have any commitments. I don't especially like daylight savings time. I know it gives supposedly more sun hours in the evening. However, because I do like my sleep, I like to sleep when it's dark. And so when it's light till 9, 9:30, 10 o'clock, it's very difficult for me to feel like it's time to go to bed. So I really do not like daylight savings time. I could be very happy if we just left it the normal standard time, and that would be fine with me. So, Mr. Table Topics Master, it affects me by making me feel ungainly. Back to you. Oh, you're on mute.
You're
Abe.
muted, Abe.
All right. No, I said a great point. I certainly do not like the daylight saving time either. I think it disturbs me more than the benefit that is worth it. Yeah. Who's next?
I'll go next, Abe.
Hey, Maha, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Number 1 to 15, except 7 and 3.
Okay, I'll go with 6.
Number 6. What are your favorite springtime activities? What makes them special to you? What are your favorite springtime activities and what makes them special to you?
Dear Table Topics Master and fellow Toastmaster members, I was asked a question, what are my favorite spring activities and why are they special? I would say that it is not uncommon for most of us to enjoy the spring for the reason of the great weather that we usually have at the end of spring. Usually here in Michigan, beginning of spring is cold, but by the end, we have more natural beauty, right? The grass is green, the sky is blue, the birds are chirping. So all of these things are things that excite all of us, or most of us at least. So my favorite thing in the spring is to be outdoors and enjoy the weather. So I try to get as much walking as I can. I like to jog as well. And I like to do yoga outside. In fact, in the last 1 year, I have really gained appreciation for that because we did not have a lot of indoors opportunities because of the pandemic. And that forced us to be more outside, and it turned out to be actually a great setting to do yoga. Because as you know, when you do yoga, you are trying to be mindful. And one of the best places to be mindful in is actually nature. And when you're surrounded by all these natural sceneries, you tend to forget about other things that are occupying your mind. And hence, I have really appreciated just being more outside whenever the weather permits, and especially in the spring weather. So I would advise all of you guys to take the opportunities of enjoying the coming spring and being outdoors as much as possible for many, many reasons. Thank you.
Thanks, Maha. That's very good. I do yoga too. I try to do yoga outside, but it was too distracting because people are passing by.
Yeah.
I couldn't focus on
You have to
the
find
activity
a quiet
itself.
place. You have to
Yeah.
find an isolated place.
Okay. Yeah, I couldn't do it. So I moved back inside to my basement. Yep. Yep. And who's wanna go next?
I could go next. This is Ross.
Hey, Ross. Okay. Number 1 to 15, except 7, 3, and 6.
I'll go with the 15.
Number 15. All right. Is spring just a summer wannabe, or does it have its own value? Is spring a summer wannabe, or does it have its own value?
Mr. Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. Each season has its own value, and spring is a transition period. So that's the value that it adds, because I know that with the, well, some people believe it, some people don't, about global warming. And we've had seasons where we go straight from winter to summer, where it's really cold and we go into really hot. And then, you don't get to appreciate the in-between transition, where we'd like to see some days where you could do with light jacket, and then you have that transition period. So spring has its own place. It has the time for hope. It has the time, as people have already commented on, where see the season change, you see the grass turning, you see the birds coming out, and then it just, so that's why it's important to have a spring. It's important to have that transition period. Just as important to have the fall period where we transition from summer to winter. So each season, I believe, has its own place. And then we should appreciate each season for what it adds and the value we get from it. And it's unlikely that we will go into a period, no matter how much global warming gets, that we'll skip spring altogether. And I think there are some places in the world where you don't have that. And then that's when you could really appreciate the fact that we do have that over here. Mr. Table Topic Master.
Thanks, Ross. I certainly agree. Spring has its value. Yep, I can't wait for spring to come whenever I see the first snow on the ground. Yep. And who's next?
I'll go next, or Nischal can go.
I mean, okay, I can go.
Okay. Number 1 to 14, except 7, 3, and 6.
8.
Number 8. Spring is full of blooming flowers. What is your favorite flower in spring? Spring is full of blooming flowers. And what is your favorite flower in spring?
Mr. Toastmaster, Mr. Table Topics Master, and fellow Toastmasters and guests. I've been asked what's my favorite flower during springtime. So before I answer that question, I think the first thing I need to tell you all about is the fact that I have a pollen allergy. and that most flowers set it off. Now, it's not a case of where I don't appreciate plants and flowering plants, especially. I love to walk through a garden. In fact, growing up, my mom has a terrace garden, and I would always jump at an opportunity to help her. I definitely would complain during the summer when she'd make me, during the vacations, water all the plants. But when the flowers did bloom, I would definitely appreciate it. I'm not sure if that flower is something that's available here or something that grows here, but the name of it is a hibiscus. It's something that you find in that I'm pretty used to seeing back home in India, and that was my favorite flower, and also happens to be my mom's favorite flower, simply because I can remember we had an n number of varieties of those, and although it seems ungainly that I like flowers and dislike them at the same time. It's just a fact of how my body is set up, but my mind is tuned to like nature and love nature. So back to you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, sir. Great. And who's coming next?
That was me, Nagham.
All right, Nagham. 1 to 14, except 7, 3, 6, and 8.
I'll take number 10.
Number 10. What do you recall about springtime when you were growing up? What do you recall about springtime when you were growing up?
Mr. Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, and guests, I was asked the question, what do I recall about spring when I was growing up? And that was a real easy question because I don't remember anything. I wish it could stop there. However, given the way I was growing up and all the different dynamics I went through, I do not recall, honestly, what spring was like. I did not pay attention to it. It was not as important as surviving. So, and that's why I do not recall specific times in spring. I wasn't a child who played outside. I liked to play inside, stayed home. This is just how I was, part of my shyness. What I do remember about spring is when we actually came to the United States. These are the memories that I have of spring, and I didn't have very fond memories at first because it was such a different shock to me in every way possible, culture, language. But then later on, as I grew more familiar with the ungainly side of everything in the United States, it was more easier to acclimate to everything. And I started falling in love with spring. And because it brought about such a great liveliness to everything. One of my favorite hobbies now in spring is planting, which takes a lot of effort, but it's beautiful. Right now, going back home, I park my car, I pass by the plants, and I see all these little flowers blooming, coming out. It brings me hope again. Every time I look at them, I see something new coming out. Is just beautiful sight. And I have to look at them every day. My husband and kids are like, what are you doing? You already know they're coming out. To me, it's beautiful. I can't get enough of that sight. And that's my best, most fondest memory of spring. Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Nagham. It's really, a great insight. I try to do some planting, but it never works. Every year my plants die. I have to go get me some new ones. Good. And who's next?
I'll go.
All right, Tameka. All right. 1 to 14, except 7, 3, 6, 8, and 10.
I'll choose 2.
Number 2. All right. I've been waiting for this one for a long time.
Oh boy.
It's the easiest one.
Oh.
So we spoke about spring for a while. What is your favorite season and why? What is your favorite season and why?
Okay, table topic master, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. I would say my favorite season is actually summer. I not really much of a winter person, but I did this season learn to enjoy winter more. But summertime is just a time where it just seems like everybody's happy. When you get to go outside, you get to walk around, you get to run, you get to enjoy different sports. You can go to the lakefront, or you can go to the lake, and you could just really enjoy yourself. Usually, people are usually not down and out and or depressed like in the wintertime. It kind of brings you down. But in the summertime, you're usually happy and you just want to like travel. And that's another thing about summer. People like to get out and travel and go different places that they haven't been to, or even go visit family members that they haven't seen. So summertime is just a great time to even start new hobbies. Like maybe even you want to, like people have talked about planting and gardening, and that's a good time to start something new and just fresh, and just get out and even exercise, just to get out and you've been stuck in a house all through wintertime, and during the summer it's time to just kind of like recharge yourself and get healthy and even eat healthy things. You have a lot of fresh fruits to eat, and it's just a great time. So that's why tabletop master, I like summertime.
Thank you, Tameka. I think everybody will agree with you. Summertime is one of the best seasons, even though sometimes it is hot, but I prefer that than winter for sure. Yep. And who's next? Do we
Noor?
have do you have some time?
Oh, well, Noor, do you want to try?
I guess.
Oh, great.
Good. Yeah. Okay. I give you a very easy one. I promise.
Okay, sure.
Yep. So pick any number between 1 and 14.
Has 13 been taken?
No, 13 has not been taken. You see, you're lucky, right? Because 13 has not been taken. Okay, number 13. Give me 1 second here. Springtime is often seen as a time of new beginning and hope. Springtime is often seen as a time of new beginning and hope. What will be some sign of springtime for you? You like that question, or you want me to change it to something else?
No, that's good.
Okay, what will be some sign of springtime for you?
Okay. So, Mr. Table Topics Master and fellow Toastmasters, usually when my sign of spring, and I remember seeing this ever since I was a little girl, and the first house that I remember in the United States was the red cardinal. And for some reason that just always stuck with me. And I remember when I was a little girl, and the very first time I saw the red cardinal, and my dad is like, "Here, Nora, look, that's the first sign of spring. Spring is coming." And that just sticks with me all the time. So every time I see a red cardinal, I get this memory and I smile, and it's like an involuntary thing. It's also just a beautiful bird, just being in kind of a desolate landscape after winter has taken its toll and the trees are dead. And you just see this gorgeous, like bright red bird. It really speaks about spring being this time of hope and new beginnings and starting anew. And being an artist, that's like I feed off of that. So it's a great time for inspiration and making new works and making paintings. And so that is my sign that spring is here. Thank you.
Yeah, No, great. I had to Google it because I never heard of red cardinal before, but it's a beautiful bird. Yeah, I never heard of it before. Yeah, excellent. Do we still have time, or do we want to move on?
I think we have time for at least one more.
Okay. Anybody left that hasn't come up yet?
I guess I'm the only one left.
Oh, Shehu.
Unless you want to go, Abe, I
No,
can
you go.
give you one.
Nah, you go. I'm trying to warm
Okay.
up. I've been missing Toastmasters for several months, so I'm trying to warm up.
Okay. What about one?
Number one, what are the three things you love about spring? What are the three things that you love about spring?
Mr. Table Topic Master, fellow Toastmaster, welcome guest. The question is, what are the three things I love about spring? Number one is summer is around the corner. So I'm waiting for summer because after spring is summer. So I have hope, and that brings hope, like everyone else have been saying, that there's hope around the corner because spring, we are moving away from summer. Some people do like, oh, we are moving away from winter, sorry, moving to summer. Like Tameka said, everybody is happy during summer. I just thought about it. That's true because people want to go outside. They want to do things, especially in Michigan. You want to start walking in your yard and doing things around the house, fixing the cars. So that brings hope. Number two, it make people happy too. Like she said, I want to pick that too. We want to be happy. Those kids around, if you have kids around your house, playing around, riding bicycle, that's kind of bring hope and joy to people around. You see people playing together. I used to walk around a lot. I still do. So I see that a lot. So happy. Summer is around the corner. And third, for me, I'm able to walk around. So that's the three things for me, Mr. Table Topic Master.
Thank you, Shehu. And I turn you back to our tabletop, our Toastmaster, Steve.
Yeah. Thank you, Abe. Excellent. Excellent job there. Now I would like to call up our general evaluator, Shehu, who will lead the evaluation portion of the meeting.